This week on Fight Recap, Ortega versus Korean Zombie for UFC Fight Night.
Stay tuned.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Andy Smith.
And I'm Tim Fulton.
And this is Fight Recap.
Fight Recap.
Korean Zombie versus Brian Ortega.
Damn. Did Ortega come back with a vengeance or what?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I like how they just call him Zombie. Like we said, his name on the bill on the screen is a Zombie.
It just says Zombie.
It just says Zombie.
I love that, though.
Yeah. This has been a fight that had a lot of bad blood. You know, Brian Ortega had the incident with Korean Zombie a couple years ago where I think it was Korean Zombie's translator was in the crowd. He went to the bathroom. Brian Ortega smacked him in the face. Little scuffle. People got kicked out. Whole big thing.
I want to know what that's all about.
I don't know. I'm sure I knew at one point, but I forgot.
Yeah. But anyway. So
Brian Ortega's been off for 2 years since he fought Max Holloway. Kind of fell off the face of the earth a little bit. Came back. One of the more impressive long breaks and a first comeback fight that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I know that's usually a lot of people's fear, like when they come back after a long break, no matter what the break is for, how are they going to look? How are they going to look again?
Exactly.
Are they going to have the jitters all over again? Like, how is that going to play out? But apparently, for him, it played out exceptionally well.
Yeah,
like ridiculously well.
Yeah, he had. I think he had a couple surgeries.
Yeah,
and then there was a couple of delays due to COVID and whatnot. But he looked like a different fighter. Like he wasn't relying only on trying to get the fight to the ground. He mostly just stood up. And what was really impressive was how patient he was, and he did a good job, which is one of the best I've ever seen, of somebody that was giving so many looks that he couldn't, like, Korean Zombie is the Korean Zombie for a reason, right? He gets into these crazy brawls and takes a lot of damage, but Brian Ortega never let him get comfortable enough to do that. He kept threatening with different strikes, kept touching the leg for the takedown, which even though you know it's not coming, you can't go to the ground with Ortega. You don't want to be there at all.
Yeah.
So he kind of just kept him in this nullified state where he just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, and there was no answer to anything.
No.
The Zombie had, which we've been doing this for a hot minute, and Ortega's been out of the game long enough where I've never seen him fight.
So, yeah, you might have saw him fight once when we were hanging out one time, but you wouldn't have seen him any other time than that.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a super long time ago, but I have seen Zombie fight a bunch.
Yeah.
And I've never seen him been stamped out so hard like that before.
Yeah.
Like he literally just had no answer to any of Ortega's riddles. I don't know how to phrase that.
Yeah, and
but, yeah.
I think getting dropped in the second round, because he was starting to turn the fight around. He was winning that second round.
That was his round.
Yeah, and that spinning back elbow that dropped him really just threw him off. I think he was, I don't know, he obviously was very hurt. He got dropped, but he never could get going after that, and he was very hesitant. He couldn't pull the trigger, and
it almost was like a tease because Ortega kept threatening the elbow. He did it several times where he would either feint it or he would give like a slower version of it.
Yeah.
And like, even though that, I don't know how to phrase this, but like, it's not like a key go-to move constantly to throw the elbow like that, but because it happened, it was like that threat was there.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's what I was saying. He kept feinting. It wasn't even threatening to where he was throwing all these techniques. He was just letting Korean Zombie know, like, I might do this. I might take you down. I'm going to touch your leg just to let you know. And throwing feinting the spinning back heel, like overselling it, letting him know that, hey, this is here too. This is here too if you come in. And since he already threw it and connected and dropped him, it makes Korean Zombie more hesitant to come in. And then when they clashed heads and he got cut, I don't know if Korean Zombie, this may have been a tactical move. I don't know. He might have like broken his orbital or broken his whatever bone this is up on top. But he kept wiping the blood, but the blood wasn't really going in his eye. I think he might have wanted a second. Because headbutts, a lot of times, they make guys like see stars a lot.
Yeah.
It's like because it's bone on bone for whatever reason, guys get really jostled from them, and usually one guy takes it worse than the other.
Yeah.
So I think that might have been smartly on his part, a tactic to get a little bit of a break in the fight and just a second, because in that game when things like that happen, seconds are so precious. So it did get a break in the fight, and after he said, "Yeah, I'm fine," but neither guy got put away, but very impressed with Ortega.
Yeah.
Extremely impressed with him. He's going to fight Volkanovski now for the title. So he just had a title fight, his last fight with Max Holloway, which he lost, and now he's going into the guy that beat Max Holloway.
I love MMA math.
Yeah. So
but I love it.
That's going to be very interesting because Volkanovski is, a little powerhouse, right? But he's really good, wrestling. So at least he threatens with it so that, his stand-up can kind of shine better. But you don't really have that card to play with Ortega because he doesn't really give a shit about going to the ground.
Yeah. And I mean, with the exclusion of this fight in particular, there's really going to be no tapes to go back to watch Ortega's game anymore. Because he's just
changed it.
Yeah, exactly. We just saw that he completely changed what his rules are.
Yeah.
So anyone is going to have a problem going back. I mean, yeah, you can look at how he's a black belt, right? Jiu-jitsu black belt.
Yes.
So you can see his ground game and stuff like that, but you don't know everything that's in his arsenal anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That was it.
Yeah. Sorry. His ground game, as far as his opponent is concerned, is don't fucking leave your neck out there whatsoever at all. Because if he gets a hold of your neck, you're Fucksville. So, but the one good thing about any opponent that faces him, being Volkanovski now, is that this fight did go 25 rounds. So he is going to get to see how Ortega is implementing all these new feints and how he uses these stances and these feints to set up his striking. If he finished Zombie in the second round with that spinning elbow, it would have been way more of a mystery of the improvement of Brian Ortega to Volkanovski. I think the fact that it went 25 minutes showed how much Ortega improved, but also is golden for Volkanovski as far as what he can prepare for now. Because not to say that he's going to fight him the same, but we saw all these new techniques that Ortega has been showing, which Volkanovski is now going to be able to prepare for, or at least they're not going to be totally foreign to him. And he can maybe come up with, him and his camp and come up with a way to mitigate the effectiveness of those.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it was a good fight.
It was a really good fight.
Really good fight.
We've been super spoiled this year. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Like a lot of these fights have been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And it was cool to see them embrace at the end of the fight because they almost didn't touch gloves, but it was cool to see him squash it. Hopefully it squashed. They both seem like pretty nice guys. Yeah. Zombie, I don't hear anyone ever say anything about him.
You know what's funny about I almost forgot to mention this. Zombie does deserve his name. Solely for the reason he never shows emotion during a match whatsoever.
No.
He was like bleeding profusely from his eye, and it was still the straight, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I punch. Okay. Like
exactly.
But there's something just unsettling.
That and he takes a god-awful amount of damage and still knocks dudes out in the middle of it.
That doesn't hurt. All right, next up, I had us on our name the entire time. That's the Brian Ortega and Sung Jung. No. I screwed up. But next up, we have Katlyn. Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, that's a lot of vowels.
I was waiting for you to start saying names before you realized what names you were trying to say.
Katlyn Chookagian.
Chookagian.
I was close and just got Andrade.
Andrade.
There's no G there.
So Andrade has moved back up a weight class. I believe she fought at this weight class. Or no, maybe she didn't ever fight at this weight class. But she's fight Katlyn Chookagian, who I believe was the #1 ranked person in this division.
She was. And I remember seeing that and being confused because she was the underdog. She was a 130 underdog.
Yes, because Andrade is the former champ.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, Andrade comes up, shows what she normally does, which is pick Chookagian up and slam her like a fucking little beast, like it's nothing. But Chookagian was doing not so bad. Andrade threw a heavy leg kick, dropped her with it. I don't know if it was just a hard leg kick and it hurt her, or she just was off balance. But then something happened where you don't see this very often, but Chookagian got hit with a shot to the gut.
Mm-hmm.
And she got hit, and she literally said out loud, like, ow.
Yeah, she did.
And she turned away and stood up, like almost like the round was over, or it was like a sparring session where she was almost like, hey, time out.
Yeah.
And she stopped and turned away, and it almost like confused Andrade too. Because she kind of just stood there for a second, and then when she turned around, like, oh, fuck. Like, it's not the end of the round.
We're still fighting.
Yeah. And then she charged her, and then she hit her again. In the same spot and dropped her again. And I thought she did pop right back up once the ref stopped it.
Yeah.
But, Andrade probably would have just kept either attacking the body or pounded out with strikes. I thought it was a good stoppage.
I mean, fighters at this level, when you see someone cringe like that to the point where they actually turn away from their opponent,
yes,
like the match is stopping, that makes me wonder if it's like a cracked rib or like something along those lines.
I thought so too, but then I saw where the shot was placed. And it was like right in the center almost. So I think she might have not been tensing up right in the solar plexus, and it just took the wind out of her. You ever been hit there before? It almost feels like you got not electrocuted, but it's the weirdest feeling in the world, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you get hit the wrong way, like you have to just go through that initial pain. But there's no speed button on it. You can't fast forward it. So and then she took another shot to the same spot like 5 seconds later. So that didn't help. Yeah, Jessica Andrade is definitely put a statement or a stamp in this division with that fight.
She's gonna make a name for herself in this one.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Jim Crute for
this one. I don't know. Modestas, Bukauskas.
All right, we apologize, everybody. We are not the best with names in the world, though we have everyone's heart.
I'm usually not bad at it, but this one I didn't know. All right, so
what a fucking powerhouse,
dude! This one I was super impressed because we've seen this kid fight once before, I believe. Yeah. I think this is only his second fight in the UFC. The thing that impressed me the most about this kid, besides the fact of his skills, was how calm he was in there, and not only how calm he was during the fight, but right after, like no real celebration, immediately sat down next to his opponent against the fence, like cool, calm, and collected. That is one of those things where guys can try to train that for a long time and never quite get it.
Yeah.
And at least in this fight, he had it in spades. Like, he's super calm. And I think that has a ton to do with how effective you are when you're throwing your strikes and you're implementing everything, because you're not tense, you're not loading up, and he was landing pretty much everything he was throwing.
He was.
Hard.
He was.
Hard. And hits fucking hard, too. That was one of the more brutal knockouts, probably the most brutal knockout of the night.
Yeah, I would.
The last couple of cards, maybe even, except for that one. I shut the fuck up. That last card had that fucking Mortal Kombat kick. Yeah. But he folded him like a wet towel, and then immediately swarmed him, hit him with another shot. To his credit, he did pop right back up, but I think if the ref didn't get in there, he would have taken a couple of years off of his career with what would have followed. So, but this kid, just based on that performance, and it's mostly his demeanor during the performance, like I think this kid is going to go, if he stays on this trajectory,
he's going to go places.
I want to see him fight somebody with a bigger name who we've seen more, who's proven that they can beat top guys.
So we can see the scale a little bit and like measure him up against the rest of the competition, so to speak. Because
I don't know a lot of the guys that are newer and stuff like that. It's hard to gauge because you don't really know them as well. If they're fighting outside the UFC, they come in, they fight other guys that you don't know as well. But once you see them fight a veteran who you know what they can do and you know who they have beaten and fought, it's easier to gauge, like, okay, like this is a real. That happened with Stipe Miocic when he was coming up. He had one of the, by the way, I just every time I say his name and bring him up, I have to say he had one of the hardest title climbs ever. Like the people that he had to fight to get to the title was like ridiculous. Like you look at the people that he had to fight to get to the title and win the title. One of the hardest roads to a championship of all time. But that was the one where when he first came on the scene, when me and Shane were watching him fight, we saw what he did and how he did it to guys that we knew.
Yeah.
Because the heavyweight division is an older division, so we had known a lot of the guys in that division. And when we saw him hanging in there and even, outclassing a lot of the guys that are older and veterans and really good at being crafty and staying, and like, that's when you know, like, okay, this is the real deal. Like, this isn't just like a flash in the pan. Like, this is legit.
He's
so
legit.
I think he needs to fight somebody that's that's a step up next for sure.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything that you haven't already said, but I wholeheartedly agree. This kid is young. He's obviously a fucking powerhouse, like we said before.
Yeah.
He's calm, collective, and his skill is out of this world.
Yeah.
And he has a fucking avatar tattoo. So
You were sold, right? Right.
I was sold. I was sold the last time I saw that. I might have even mentioned it on the last podcast that he was on. But yeah, I'm 100%. I'm looking forward to his next match too. I want to see this kid go places.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And I wasn't going to talk about this one, the James Krause versus SIlva fight, but
you caught this one. I wasn't really paying too much attention.
So with this one, Krause is one of those guys who, he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
One of the things that impresses me with Krause is that he's not super, like, wasn't born and gifted with knockout power or any, like, ridiculous athleticism or whatever like that. He's very technical. He controls the pace, and he's very good at almost like lulling you into his like rhythm. And one of the things that goes like very unappreciated a lot of times in the sport is the injuries that guys sustain and still compete with, right? So, if guys are, I'm not downplaying anything with any other sport whatsoever, but like I'll use wrestling as an example. Like if you get injured in wrestling and you can't continue, that's it. You're done. Your year is over, or your 4-year Olympic career is over. If you're playing in baseball and you sprain your ankle during a game, they're not going to make you continue because it's not in your best interest to continue, right? Why would you continue playing with a sprained or broken ankle or broken foot? Right? You're just going to come out. In this sport, like, these guys get injured during the fight, before the fight, which, again, what pro athlete is ever at 100%? None. Like, football guys play with broken shit all the time, I'm sure. But he sustained a knee injury in the second round, which I believe he's been dealing with.
Yeah.
And the fact that he kept a poker face on, number one. But number two, like, just a testament to athletes in general. Like, when they get injured during competition, like, the lengths that they'll go to stay in it. Like, I always think that it's insane in other sports because they do have the option to come out and have somebody else put them back in. That guys stay in, like dislocate their shoulder during a game and they like snap it back in and go back in. Congratulations, hoorah. But like, I would not recommend that if I was like your manager or whatever. Like, get the fuck out of there. But in this, it's like, you can't, like, you can do it, but like, it always puts a demerit on your name.
I mean, I think one of the biggest differences is that, like, if you're looking at a lot of other sports, we'll go back to football, for example. If you hurt your shoulder, they're going to pull you out of the game because it's not in your best interest to keep playing.
Which I think is 100% the right move.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. But in this instance, James Krause is James Krause's team. If James Krause gets pulled, the team loses.
Exactly.
The team, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say footballers, we're making it sound a little easy. Footballers in particular
that's what I'm saying. I don't want this to come off like
a lot.
I don't want this to come off like one is better than, I'm talking about athletes in general. I don't think athletes of any sport get enough credit for performing when they're injured
or even the recovery time. Like a lot of times in football,
come back way too soon
because they just want to go.
Granted, they're getting the highest of high physical therapy, everything state of the art.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I've seen guys that will get shoulder surgery. Like, labral repair shoulder surgery and fight in 6 months.
Yeah.
Fight in 6 months. I've had 2 labral repair surgeries. I couldn't really scratch my ass after 9 months. And he fought in 6 months. I think it was Rich Franklin, I believe, fought in 6 months after a shoulder surgery.
That's terrifying.
So think about that. He fought 6 months after a shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
You still have to train. You still have to get back in shape.
There's a lot
you have to rehab. So what? You're going to train for 3 months, which means you started training again 3 months after a shoulder surgery?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
These people are insane, dude.
Yeah. So
we talk about UFC all the time, but all these guys are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
A lot of them in a great way, but y'all fucking crazy.
Yes. I just thought, it was a, tip of the cap to James Krause for sticking in there in a fight that I thought he was winning. They kept saying it was a little closer than I thought it was.
I think the judges agree with you though. I think it was 30-7.
They did, but I think that the commentators were saying that it's a very close fight. I didn't think it was as close as that. I thought that Silva was being very sloppy throwing loop and stuff, but Krause stayed in there, did what he had to do, and that knee really was giving him problems. He got his leg taken out a couple times, but yeah, kudos to Krause for sticking it out there, getting a W.
Kudos, Krause. Good job.
Yeah,
we appreciate you. And do you know who else we appreciate? The good people at the Bro Down Productions.
I was gonna say
our fans.
Jim Crute. I forgot this fight that you didn't watch too. Jim Crute, Jonathan Martinez. That kid is on the same. Everything I said about him it applies to Jonathan Martinez.
Okay.
That kid is going to be one of the top dogs very, very soon.
Okay.
Everything I said about Crute, apply that to Martinez as well.
Okay.
So, sorry. Your show now.
Now I don't know what to do. All right, guys. Well, this has been the fight recap. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought about this UFC card. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell notification. Also, this is the fight recap, but we do have other shows. On Tuesdays, we do Dear Bros, where we answer advice column questions in a bro-y fashion. And on Thursdays, we have What Do You Got?, which is a little segment where we come to the table with a random topic that we talk about. It's all a good time. We would appreciate it if you go check those out. We have a bunch of backlogged in the video sections. You can check them out by going to brodownpro.com and seeing our podcast page.
Also, if you have any advice that you need to write in about, or you have a topic that you want us to talk about on What Do You Got?, go to brodownpro.com, and there's a section there where you can leave your advice that you would like to get or the topic that you want us to talk about. You don't have to leave an email. You just write the topic in. You don't even have to leave your name. Write in.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done.
I love when you chime in. We'll catch you guys next time.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh,